For usual, everything on this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. It is Setup Sunday. Bet you didn't think you were getting a double header today, but here we are. I have a lot of charts. Did I get carried away? Maybe. But most of these not crypto. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe we need the rest of the world to literally be at all-time highs to lift us out of whatever's going on with BTC and ETH and SOL right now and the rest of the alt market. In general, crypto's bearish, obviously. Don't need me to tell you that. That's not really the point. The point isn't even picking the bottoms. It's where can you get a reasonably sized trade and feel good about it versus sort of guessing and losing. I don't think we're quite there yet for BTC. But as far as the ETF flows go, did have a positive week last week, 286 million. We'll count it. Not much of anything really in the grand scheme of things for BTC. For ETH, also positive 200 million. Grand scheme of things, not that big of a deal. Certainly more impactful than BTC 200 million because ETH is smaller than BTC, but is it really going to move the needle? No. Looking at the COT data on the bottom panel here, the CFTC is slowly filling this in over the next couple of weeks. We should have full data by the end of the year, caught up to date. Why they can't just do this all at once, I don't know, but this is what we have. This setup for the COT data currently, not up to date again, but it's what we have, is neutral at best. You know, there's no additive anything here based on COT data. You want COT data to look exactly like it did after Liberation Day. You know, we got that move. Commercials went super long, large spec, super short. We don't have any of that here. You know, nobody's really doing anything. So on BTC, really nothing to say. On ETH, keep in mind, this is based on backtesting of COT data. This has nothing to do with ETH. This has everything to do with positioning. So when I say this looks turbo bearish, it's because it's turbo bearish. This positioning is not bullish. Check every COT data from now till the last 50 years. Do whatever you want to do to convince yourself. But in aggregate, when you see this, mega short commercials, that's not bullish. So what do you want to see? You want to see this flip the other way. You want this to be the exact opposite. You want commercials super long, large spec super short. Realistically, we kind of haven't ever seen that since ETH started having CFTC data, COT data. We had a little glimpse of that into July and we got a nice move. But then after that, validators or whatever else is going on here, there's clearly something going on. You know, this has nothing to do with ETH. That's the most important thing. It has everything to do with the back testing of the data. So keep that in mind when people screech at me in the comments. And of course, for BTC, this is the number one thing here. Is this going to break down? Again, the entire world is seemingly at all-time highs. The Qs, maybe not so much. We'll take a look. But the TA, air quotes, unquestionably isn't bullish here. That doesn't mean that, air quotes, TA is wrong. It just means it's up to the market to prove the TA wrong. Left to its own devices, this should break down. So is this a good long here? I don't think so. You know, next chart, right? That's just the way it is. I hope it goes up. I hope it goes to 300 million. Okay. But there are other things to do with your money than throw anything at BTC right now. I would love this in the cloud. I'd love this above the cloud. It's neither of those, not even close to any of that. There's not really even a low time frame pattern that I like down here on BTC. I would love a multi-month bottom like we did into April. Then I think there's something to do. But we're a bit of ways away from that. Now, MSTR, this is going to sound nuts. A little bit of a different story because it has sold off so much more. If we can get another week, give me another week of sideways. If we're truly bottoming, another week shouldn't be hard to hold this level. Everybody thinks, you know, Saylor's going to have to sell. Saylor's going to bankrupt the company. He's going to bring BTC to zero, whatever. Okay, fine. That might happen. But let's just watch this over the next week. If this can get some sort of W, some sort of Adam and Eve, a higher high, anything at all, I like a move to 250. I don't know about anything after that. Doesn't matter. I'm just from here to 250, right? 180 to 250 is a great trade. Would love to take that with size. That is a huge mean reversion. That would likely mean BTC also doing fairly well. And there is one such chart that is kind of maybe sort of hinting at maybe we get something on BTC and MSTR with Metaplanet trying to bottom here. Trying. This is down God knows how much from 1600 in percent terms. Down a lot. It's down a lot. I don't care about the MNAV here. By the way, I don't care about the MNAV here either. I don't care about how much Sailor is buying either. I just don't care. All I care about is the TA. So this is trying to set up as an inverted head and shoulders, maybe shoulder, head, shoulder, probably something into 2026 if we get it. If we get the edge to edge, definitely worth taking that trade. IMHO. A little early for that, but this does look like it's trying to bottom. So that is a good sign for BTC and MSTR. ETH also, what is there to do here? Is this some sort of inverted head and shoulders? Maybe. I don't see anything super, super actionable. You don't have this. You do not have what you had going into July, or most of the charts I'm about to show in the latter half of this video. It's just way too early. This right now is nothing, in my opinion. It is trying to fight off bearishness. It's trying to break up. It's trying to have Tom Lee pull it up by its bootstraps, but not really much going on there. I do still like ETHBTC. It's messy. It's neutral. But what I would love to see is the COT data to flip going into 2026 for whatever reason. Maybe it's validator related. Maybe it's not. I don't care. Again, it has nothing to do with ETH, and it has everything to do with positioning. It has everything to do with what we've seen historically for commercials in those positions and what happens with price. It is just harder to go up. So it would make sense to me if and when we see ETHBTC break up, that the commercial positioning has been flattened out on the COT data. And SOL, this could be another bear flag, could be, I don't know, what is there to do here? I got nothing for you. What's your target on 130? 160? Like 3,000? I mean, like, let's be honest here. This isn't a bull trend. I can tell you that. Just in no man's land. Really nothing going on. Above 145, we can talk. But here now, I got nothing. I got absolutely nothing. And of course, you got to be aware of this. You do not want to be the person sitting in this thinking, oh man, it's 100. It's so cheap. It's so cheap at 100. It does have the potential for a pretty gross move down. So just keep that in mind on high time frames, whether or not this is a diamond or head and shoulders. And it doesn't matter if it breaks down or not. That's the thing. Does it look bearish? Answer that question first. And second question, do you long bearish things? Just answer that. Just answer those two questions. I don't even care what happens here. It's just not for me. Better places to put your money, in my opinion. And the weird thing is, dominance also looks bearish. So something's got to give here. Not everything can break down. We can't have ETH and SOL breaking down more than BTC and dominance also breaking down. That's not how this works. So something's lying, something's wrong. And that's why I'm kind of leaning in favor of ETH. I'm kind of leaning in favor of those COT numbers resolving themselves over the next 30 to 60 days. But it's still a little early. This is leaning bearish heavily. Look at this pattern. Look at the cloud. All of this is super, super bearish. For alts, if you're long alts here, you do not want this going back above 60, 61 on dominance. So one of these is going to be correct. I don't know which one, but one of them. And I did a miner video earlier today. The best looking miner was Wolf, hands down. They have a Google contract that goes out to infinity effectively based on the current market conditions. And maybe this is an inverted in shoulders. Maybe it's a bullish TK recross price above cloud. But even this looks better than every single crypto chart. There's nothing that compares to what this looks like. So, if you have to do something, long something that looks like it's ready to break higher. And here's the other odd part about all this with crypto, as everything else is trying to push higher. You have the dollar breaking down heavily. It's not quietly breaking down. It's swiftly breaking down based on rate expectations, inflation expectations, labor jobs expectations. This is not a bullish picture. This is effectively a failed bearish to bullish reversal going back to bearish. Maybe this bottoms and it curls up again, right? But crypto should not be as bearish as it is with the dollar looking like this. You have the 10-year also ready to break higher, and this may be the great equalizer for everything. Hasn't quite broken out yet. It does look pretty good though. This is yield. You do not want yields going higher. That's going to crush everything on the opposite end of the spectrum. Gold got the memo. Gold's basically at all-time highs again. Meanwhile, BTC's down, 30% from all-time highs? What's going on? You tell me. Let me know in the comments. This measures effectively to 5,000. Why not? Let's go. Here's a crazy chart. Gold miners against gold. Quite a bottom. That's a decade plus something? I don't know. Don't think it's Wyckoff. I guess you could call it a King's Castle inverted head and shoulders, but that's on the monthly. Certainly favors gold miners over gold. You've got platinum and palladium, SPPP. This thing silently and quietly just keeps crushing And again, what's going on with crypto, right? There are other places to put your money. Clearly, silver. Everybody knows that this thing is taken off quite a bit. And I'm guessing equities and metals are sucking the air out of the room when they're moving like this. You don't need to trade crypto when silver is moving like this if you are aware of it. On the equities front, this is S&P futures. Is it a head and shoulders? Is it an inverted head and shoulders? Is it a bullish continuation? I think ultimately this will break up. It looks like it wants to. Any new higher highs and you're probably good to go at 6,900. Maybe you get a deeper shoulder, maybe you don't, but certainly not bearish. Doesn't look bearish to me. Now, the Qs look much more bearish to me. Shoulder, head, shoulder. So just don't long Mag 7, right? I mean, that's why this is so bearish. Mag 7, collectively as a group, doesn't look so hot right now. And then this is alt season in equities. It's the Russell. It's zombie companies. It's companies without revenue at all-time highs, right? This is what alt season looks like for equities. Chart looks great. Huge move since April. Pulled back at all-time highs. Amazing. Of all the Mag 7, and this may be more of like a car thing, air quotes, than Tesla, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. This continues to set up as a multi-month cup and handle. Certainly not something I want to miss. I like alerts at like 465 or something. But again, compare this to anything in crypto. Not even close. Not even close. Maybe this doesn't play out as hard or fast as you'd want relative to crypto. But to me, this looks very bullish for Tesla in the long term. You have Rivian, of course, which continues to just crush it to make higher highs. Again, that's fine. If I have to pick a target, it's going to be 30 to 40. Love it. Looks good. Let it chop around. Give it some time. Ford, also curling up, right? Ford is curling up and your altcoin is dying, So maybe look around a little bit. There's other stuff to do. GM, by the way, at all-time highs. This is essentially IWM. It basically looks the same. GM doing very well since July. I'd throw Lyft in that conversation, although it does have a little bit of a head and shoulders there. And the problem with GM is like, okay, what do you do here? I don't know, probably nothing. Maybe you long Ford. Maybe you long, this is Porsche, one of the ADRs, DRPRY. You've got Stellantis, Chrysler, tons of problems, tons of issues. Most people would never want to touch this if they looked at the fundamentals. The technicals look phenomenal. This is a multi-year downtrend curling up. Sure, why not? Sector's hot. Another hot sector is airlines. ETF Jets, JETS, still hasn't recovered from the COVID high, breaking down. That's what that is. This again is reminiscent of IWM, but looks great. Cup and handle, breaking up. I mean, what else do you want? What else do you want? And if you had to pick one, I'd pick United for whatever reason. I know nothing about the airlines, but the technicals on this look very, very good in the near term for a cup and handle. Biotech's another one. Done really, really well. It had a multi-year head and shoulders, shoulder, head, shoulder that didn't break down. I wasn't there to catch it on the other direction, but a lot of the biotech industry has done very, very well. The problem here is, right, similar to GM, where do you get in at this point if you're not? This is LabU, this is 3X Biotech. Pretty significant bear div, I'd say at this point, a multi-month bear div, not something I'm looking to jump into, but biotech's done very well. CRISPR, CRSP, this is a Kathy favorite, does have a huge wedge it's trying to work on, maybe a little head and shoulders there in the near term, but I'd keep an eye on this stuff if biotech continues to lift off. I don't know if it's because RFK had more bark than bite or whatever. I don't know really what's going on there, if just rates are going lower and people are moving out of quantum and into biotech. I don't know. But, in case you haven't seen some of these charts, they're doing quite well without you in biotech land. mRNA, also probably a potential trade setup here. Maybe you could call it a King's Castle inverted head and shoulders. You could call it a W, whatever. The problem with Moderna is it has a history of setting up, looking great, and then just going nowhere. So you definitely have to keep an eye on this. But at this point, it's been, since the post-COVID high, it really hasn't done anything. So maybe this is the time that it starts to turn around. You've got Eli Lilly also breaking up from a bull flag. You've got J&J breaking up from a bull flag. So there's always a bull market somewhere. And maybe it's in Krispy Kreme. Maybe it's in Donut. This is what you'd want BTC to look like when it finally recovers. The funny thing is, it kind of looks like BTC on the way down. And this is, if anything, probably the Ozempic effect or whatever going on. But this is a tradable setup here. And again, contrast this to anything in crypto. Not even close. Not even close. So there's plenty of stuff to do, in my opinion. None of it's in crypto right now. Maybe MSTR next week, maybe Metaplanet this week. If you're feeling bold and adventurous, for whatever reason, it's just not our time. And if gold breaks up beyond all-time highs, it will likely continue to not be our time until somebody wakes up and says, hey, what about this digital thing that has a relative value that looks pretty attractive here? That's all I have for this one. Give me a like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.